I'm not going to lie to you guys, man. We are making this recap. I'm already I'm already over the season.
No!
We're making this preview.
At this point, why not let it be the recap?
That's what I'm saying.
We know the outcome, right?
Maybe. But we're making this preview right after the Bengals game. Only because, one, the week's going to be tight because it's a holiday week. But also, there's not much to talk about. There's not much in terms of an injury aspect. And when you look at these two teams, they're not that great. They're not. The Colts are 4-6-1 heading into this matchup. We're 3-7. And both teams are pretty much bottom 10 teams. I would argue that the Steelers are worse than the Colts.
We're definitely worse than the Indianapolis Colts.
Only because, at least the past 2 weeks, the Colts have shown some fight. They've shown some competitiveness. And that has been led by Jeff Saturday, who obviously had zero coaching experience before being pushed in as the interim head coach after Frank Reich's firing. And you've seen in his first game, man, against the Raiders, they won. And even last week, they didn't beat the Eagles, but they took them to the limit.
Yeah, they only lost by 1 point, and that was in their house. Now they host the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are coming off a terrible performance against an AFC North rival in the Cincinnati Bengals, and that was in our home.
That was in our home. Very, very terrible performance. And the Colts aren't anything great. Like, when you look at their team, there's nothing that reaches anything of like serious impact outside of maybe Jonathan Taylor, who's really starting to get the season going. Taylor, Shaq Leonard, he's basically been out the entire year. Yeah, and of course maybe DeForest Buckner. That's about it. I mean, they have Matt Ryan at quarterback, and that's just another one of those guys that's just on that list of just fill-ins since Andrew Luck's retirement. The Colts have not recovered ever since then.
Nope.
They just have fill-ins, guys like Phillip Rivers, I think Jacoby Brissett, Matt Ryan. I think I'm missing somebody. Like, these guys have been nothing but fill-ins, as opposed to bridge guys to the next guy, but we don't know who that is for the Colts. And they're still trying to find their way because, I mean, we've seen this year, ownership's a joke, and the firings they've done. They fired their OC, then they fired Frank Reich and brought in someone without NFL coaching experience.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, it's starting to turn the tide a little bit for the Colts season. But nonetheless, when I look at the Steelers matchup versus the Colts, obviously the Colts have not beaten the Steelers since 2008. Every single year since then, we've defeated them very well, especially in seasons where we haven't been that great.
But this is an entirely different Steelers team in me and Danny's view.
It is. It's one of the worst. It's definitely the worst we've seen, and that's easy to say because I'm not going to lie. We are young fans. This is the first year without Ben, so this is new for us. This probably isn't new for a lot of you other guys, so this is just our personal experience. We are familiar with history and the bad seasons the Steelers have had in the past. This is just another one of them. It just took 20 years to get to it again.
Yeah.
But, the Steelers are just bad, man. And normally when I see the Steelers have the Colts on their schedule, I feel confident. I'm like, well, we somewhat own the Colts since they haven't beaten us in forever. So I'm confident about it. This season, I'm not. I'm not excited. I'm not confident in facing the Colts because this team, man, is just absolute poor. It's bad, man. It is bad in every single way possible. And that was shown last week at home in the Color Rush unis.
And I showed even more last week. This has been very evident all year.
It has, but God, last week was it was really bad. It was rough.
And the team's got no chemistry. The team doesn't really have any desire this year. They pretty much give up even when the game is winnable. Yep. They throw up the white flag.
They do. And again, the Colts aren't anything crazy. They're not a great team. We're talking 2 bottom 10 teams in primetime. Go figure. Another primetime game that's not going to be exciting. But
yeah,
I'm not feeling great about going into this game.
I think we're going to start with the offense. They're obviously led by Matt Ryan, who has his job back. He was benched back when Frank Reich was the head coach for Sam Ehlinger. He got fired. Saturday got the job as interim head coach, and now he's had his job since. And Matt Ryan, he's on the verge of retirement.
He is.
Basically.
We all know that. Of course, Jonathan Taylor's the lead guy for that offense. He's really starting to get the train rolling for first time this season after pretty much since the Week 1 performance. So, seeing how our rushing defense is, I mean, it's been solid the last couple of weeks, but we're facing a very good O-line and an elite running back in Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
This is going to be a test for the defense to see if they can keep going against that rushing attack because, I mean, when you look at the passing attack for the Colts, they don't have much to offer. An aging Matt Ryan, who seems to be very washed. They have no receivers. Michael Pittman's the number one. Alec Pierce is a solid number 2, but they don't have a true number 1 target on any part of that passing game.
No, they don't.
They don't. The defense it's mostly led by Shaq Leonard and Buckner, but Leonard's been out most of the year. Buckner's great, but
I know they acquired Yannick Ngakoue from the Raiders. He's been tossed around the league, but everywhere he's been, he's shown that he's still a pretty capable pass rusher.
I think he's coming off a sack and a half game from last week versus the Eagles.
Yeah.
They picked up Stephon Gilmore for agency. Julian Blackmon, I think, is a rising safety in the league. So
Kenny Moore's in their slot right there.
Yeah, so they got guys that can still make plays for sure. I'm not underestimating the Colts whatsoever in this one.
No.
I'm just not, man. It's just something about this Steelers team I'm not feeling that great about, man. Last week, it's honestly drained me. It really has. Especially this defense. I'm very disappointed in this defense because it's fully healthy outside of Witherspoon, but I think Witherspoon would make it a little worse if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's fully healthy. Watt is fully healthy back. Minka just came back last week, and with a fully healthy Steelers defense that's the highest paid in the NFL, they put on the worst performance I think we've all seen.
They're giving up 37 points to the Cincinnati Bengals without Jamar Chase.
And eventually Joe Mixon in their own house. Now they go on to the road, and they're not facing a lot of star power of the Colts.
No, nobody really eye-opening outside of Jonathan Taylor.
Exactly, but it's still nothing to underestimate. But you see, like, the corners are rough. Guys are open in the middle of the field. There's too much zone coverage. There's been no pressure from the defense last week, outside of maybe 2 sacks.
Yeah.
So it's just inconsistent play from this defense. And I don't know if I can trust it, at least for this matchup. Or honestly, heading into the rest of the season, just because that honestly exposed the Steelers defense very much so.
Yeah, it really did.
Did last week. So
it really did. And go up against a much less tier type of offense, I don't really know how I feel about the defense. I know I don't feel confident anymore.
Right. But
I really don't.
I think this is still going to be a defensive matchup because the Colts don't have as much star power or they don't have as much weaponry on the offense as the Bengals did. All they have is Jonathan Taylor. But, he's still going to be hard to stop. But he could be the guy that could open the field a lot for a guy like Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what to expect from this defense, but I think they'll have a little bit of an easier game, a little bit of a better game. I just don't know how much better. Because you still got to slow down Jonathan Taylor. That's the way to win this game.
That is the main key to winning this game and stopping the Colts offense. You got to stop Jonathan
And you
Taylor.
got to force the ball into Ryan's hands. You know how immobile he is. You know how shot his arm is at this stage of his career. Force the ball into his hands, and thus the defense has to make plays. But the forefront has to stop Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. And the offense of the Steelers, they're going up against, in my opinion, I feel is a capable defense.
It is.
I look at the Colts season, it's pretty wild. There's games where they show up. Like just a few weeks ago, they beat the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the few teams to do so this season.
Right.
And they would lose to a less tier team. But I feel like their defense is what's keeping them in these games a lot.
Yeah, it's not a great defense, but it has the guys there. They just got to fix everything around it. So, against the Steelers offense that is just so bad that we can't trust anything, that's so inconsistent, that forces 3 and outs all the time, though they might have a few spark plays here and there. They might put up 2 touchdowns. I'm not feeling great about this game, man. I think we can anticipate a highly defensive matchup. We said that last week, and that wasn't the case. But I think it's going to happen this week just because we're talking about 2 teams that are rough right now, that are definitely bottom 10, that are just having very wild seasons and still trying to find their way after, great quarterbacks retired.
Yeah.
Even the Colts still at this point after how many years. But I think we can definitely anticipate a highly defensive matchup, especially when you look at both offenses and how much they they don't have much to offer.
And how much they've underwhelmed.
Right. So I
severely.
think it's going to be a highly defensive matchup, but I'm not that confident heading into this game, even though the Colts haven't beaten us since 2008. But go figure, it'd be this Steelers team to make me feel less confident when history should be on our side. That's the Steelers team we have this year.
Yeah.
But it's in prime time. It's on the road. It's in Indianapolis. We got to go on the road and try to get a dub, man. That's all we can say. That's all we can hope for. We don't know what to expect from this game outside of maybe it being defensive. Just go into it the same way we have all year. Just at this point, after that loss, first the Bengals, a little bit less excited, a little bit less confident. But maybe we can pull off another dub versus the Colts and continue on our win streak versus them. We lead the series by a good margin.
Yeah, we do.
So maybe we can continue upon that and get a dub before the next game. In prime time on Monday night. Maybe. Maybe after the holiday season. We'll see what happens. But the Steelers got to show up in this one. The defense especially. We know the offense is rough and we can't expect much. Defense has to step it up in this one.
Yeah.
You're getting paid that much. You're this healthy at this point of the season. You got to do better. The coaching has to do better especially.
It's not just the players executing on the field. It's the plays that the coaches are calling up. It's the schemes that they're putting them in. It's the formations that they're having them in.
Yep.
That they are obviously not exceeding it.
And the lack of adjustments we saw. It was terrible.
There's no success there. They're not succeeding in anything whatsoever.
So they got to go into Indianapolis in prime time and show up on national television. That's all we can hope for.
And see if you can hang your hat on the fact that the Colts cannot have our number.
Right.
Whatsoever.
Because, there's a lot of history between these two teams, man. A lot of history. A lot of history in the past. Playoff history. Very good history with Ben Roethlisberger, as we know. But we're seeing these two teams are still trying to find their way after that great history. This is just another one of those matchups where the two teams, man, they're not that great, but it could be another defensive matchup. We could see that. It's prime time. It's Monday night.
We'll just see how it goes.
Pretty much.
Because this is a game that could definitely go either way for either team. I think it just may come down to whoever gives up the ball more.
Exactly.
Honestly.
Exactly. That's exactly how it's going to go. But nonetheless, it's Steelers versus Colts. A lot of history. Could be an interesting matchup. I don't know how exciting it's going to be. I don't know how much scoring there's going to be, but it should be an interesting matchup. We'll see what Steelers team wants to show up this week as we edge closer to the end of the season and possibly edge closer to Tomlin's first losing season. We shall see. Can he prevent that? The only way he can is to get more dubs. Versus the Colts, he has a great resume.
Let's see if he keeps it up.
Absolutely. So let us know your guys' thoughts down below. Do we beat the Colts? How are you feeling about this game? Otherwise, you guys have a great, wonderful, safe holiday. If you are traveling, stay safe. Make it a good one. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful holiday. Eat as much as you can. That's what the holiday's all about. Being thankful for family. Cherish the family time. Believe us. And you guys have a great one, man. Have a great, safe holiday. Happy Thanksgiving.
And like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Peace!